Someone is watching this right now who is about to lose everything. You are about to hand over your house, your savings, your retirement, your dignity to a person who does not love you. They love what you have, and you will not see it coming because you do not want to see it coming. Family law attorneys with decades of experience often say the same thing. They've watched thousands of lives fall apart because people ignored early warning signs in relationships where money, marriage, and power collide. And here's what those attorneys will tell you quietly, off the record. The men who lose the most are rarely reckless. They are rarely foolish. They are almost always lonely, grieving, or exhausted from carrying responsibility for decades. If you're a man over 50, this conversation matters. And if content like this helps you think more clearly about dating, relationships, and protecting what you built, subscribe to the channel. This is Paul and Myra, Men's Health and Attraction After 50, and we talk about the things no one warns men about until it's too late. A friend of mine told me something once that never left me. He said, after a certain age, love can be dangerous, not because it's fake, but because it arrives when you're tired, lonely, and wanting to believe again. This friend wasn't bitter. He was anti-love. He wasn't warning people to shut down or live in fear. He had simply spent decades watching what happens when grief meets charm and when vulnerability meets someone who knows exactly how to use it. He told me about a man, let's call him Robert. Not because that was his real name, but because his story could belong to almost any man watching this. Robert did everything right. Long career, years of responsibility, took care of his family, provided stability, built a life brick by brick. Then life changed. Divorce, or maybe widowhood. Maybe the kids grew up and moved away. Maybe retirement came sooner than expected. Suddenly, the house was quiet. Not painful every minute, just quiet in a way that made time feel heavier. Robert wasn't desperate. He wasn't chasing youth. He wasn't reckless. He was lonely. And that's when he met her. She listened, really listened. She remembered details he barely remembered sharing. She admired his experience, his steadiness, his strength. She made him feel useful again. Psychologists call this attunement. In healthy relationships, attunement is beautiful. It's connection. It's emotional presence. But in unhealthy relationships, attunement becomes a tool. She didn't rush him with anger or pressure. She rushed him with reassurance, with warmth, with the feeling that he was finally safe again. Researchers who study romance exploitation say this is the most common entry point. Not greed, not stupidity. Emotional dependency, created early and reinforced often. And it always starts small. Let me help with that. It's easier if we handle things together. Why keep secrets from each other? We're a team now. None of it sounds dangerous. None of it sounds unreasonable. And that's the point. By the time Robert felt something was off, finances were already blended in subtle ways. Bills paid here, help offered there, accounts discussed, future plans implied. Not demanded. Suggested. And once money and emotion are tied together, power shifts quietly. My friend told me this wasn't rare. It was routine. According to federal fraud data, older adults lose billions of dollars every year to financial exploitation, and romance-based manipulation is one of the fastest-growing categories. But here's what most men don't realize. Most of these situations do not start online. They start in real life. Church groups, social circles, support meetings, introductions through friends, places where trust already exists and defenses are already lowered. That's why men don't see it coming. If you're listening to this and thinking, I know a guy this happened to, hit like on this video. It helps this message reach more men who need to hear it before they learn the hard way. Another story my friend shared stayed with me even more. A retired police officer. Strong, experienced, street smart, nobody's idea of an easy target. But grief changes the brain. Neurologists have shown that loss affects judgment, emotional regulation, and risk assessment in ways that mimic trauma responses. This man didn't fall for a scam. He fell for a person. She needed help. Something always came up. There was always a delay, always a reason things weren't settled yet. And because men are wired to fix problems, because usefulness feels like purpose, he stepped in. Little by little. Until one day, he realized there was nothing left to recover. Here's the part my friend was adamant about. This isn't about intelligence. It's about timing. Loneliness narrows perspective. Affection feels urgent. Boundaries feel unkind. Caution feels like fear. That's why experts warn about love bombing, intense attention, fast emotional closeness, future talk early on. Brain imaging studies show the same reward circuits light up as they do with addictive substances. You don't decide to ignore red flags. Your nervous system explains them away for you. That's why healthy relationships feel slower. They tolerate no. They don't rush shared finances. They don't get offended by boundaries. They don't pressure legal or financial access. So my friend boiled decades of watching men lose everything down to a few rules he wished every man over 50 would follow. Keep finances separate always. Delay major legal or financial decisions for at least 2 years. Listen when people who love you express concern. Never apologize for protecting what you built. Get a prenuptial agreement, no matter how unromantic it feels. And then he said something that hit harder than anything else. Being alone isn't the worst outcome, he said. Being stripped of your independence because you were afraid to be alone is. Real love doesn't hurry you. It doesn't pressure you. It doesn't need access to your accounts to prove itself. And if someone watching this feels a quiet alarm going off in their chest, if something feels rushed, hidden, or off, professionals agree on one thing. That feeling deserves attention immediately. Because the stories change. The faces change. The names change. But the pattern never does. Protect yourself. And if you want honest conversations about dating, attraction, and strength after 50, subscribe to the channel. This is exactly why we're here.